Microsoft Word 2003, managing and printing our documents. Well, we have to keep these things straight, and when we need to create new documents or print out the documents or maybe even save them as different things, these are all little things that you're expected to know if you're going to take that certification exam, as well as just everyday life. Better be saving those documents, better be printing them at some point. We've got a lot of ground to cover, so let's go ahead and get started by looking at how we use templates in new documents when we manage or print our documents, the properties of the documents, how important that can be, especially when you're looking at searching for documents, how to print documents, we'll even take a sneak preview of the envelopes and labels, and then saving as a what? A web page, as a different type of format. We'll check that out as we finish this video. When it comes to Word 2003 for Microsoft, you know that there's going to be a ton of stuff that we just can't show you in our short video series that we have. But we're going to try to give you all the bells and whistles that we know, number one, that could be on the exam, as well as just make you a better Microsoft Office user. And that's an important goal, I think. One of the things a lot of people say, well, how do I organize all my files and my documents and things like that? How do I create new ones? How do I print them? Is there a way to send it somewhere if you have email? Absolutely. For example, let's say that I want to create a brand new file. How do I do that? Here's a simple thing to remember. You can either come up here to File and New, and that'll create a new one, or you can click on the New Blank Document. Now notice it says New Blank Document. What if I want to create a file based on some of those templates that I've seen? Well, File, New, and it brings up our new document, and it allows us to do it from templates on my computer, on my websites. We've seen how to do that before. We also know how to do new web pages, new email from existing documents. But if I want to pick one of those templates on my computer, I can come in here and see that I got blank documents. I got my Acme inks. Here's my 5-year financial plan manufacturing I created for my particular Excel 2003. I could create new templates that I can use for my Word 2003. But let's say I want to create a brand new memo from Word, and I want to use a contemporary looking memo, and it kind of shows you that, or a professional memo. So I can click OK, and I want to create a new document, so I say OK, we can do that. It then creates for me this pre-built little template here that I can come in here and input our name, company name here, and we'll say Acme Incorporate, Acme Instruments Inc. And you can put the address and some information in there. You got headers and footer information you can do. Click here and type a name, click here and type a name, the date, how to use this memo template. So we can go ahead and take that out, and we'll say, from the desk of Chris Ward, because all the memos will come from me, all to my lowly people working for me. No, I'm just kidding. But from the desk of Chris Ward. Now, notice this is a brand new document, but what I can do is I can now hit File, Save As, and now notice the Save As type. I can come down here and I can say I want to create a document template, and I want to save it in Acme Inc. So once I've done that, and I'm going to call this CEO Memo. So that way it's coming from me, the Chief Executive Officer of Acme Incorporated. I then save it, and now this is CEO Memo Template. And then now it's going to say from the desk of Chris Ward. It could have our address and things. So now if I close this, and I hit File, New, and I go a template on my computer, I can come over here to Acme Inc., and there it is. There's my CEO memo, which is now a template that I can use every time I want to create a memo. So we can organize our templates within this template area and create documents from it. So this is just one of the many ways that we can help manage our files that we have in Office 2003, and especially even here with Word 2003. I might also want to have more information at my fingertips about my particular files, so that way when I can do searching for these files or saving them and viewing them even in the operating system like Windows Explorer or something like that. Now to do that, let's go ahead and close this out, close this window, and I'm going to go ahead and open up the History of Instruments. And so now I have this History of Instruments, and let's say I want to find out a little bit more information about this particular document or add some key features to it. I can come up here to File, properties, which if you weren't able to see it, remember, just click on that down arrow, and now I can see here's my properties. And now you got my general, you've got what it is, the history of instruments, what type it is, the location, the size of the document, what the MS-DOS name was if you were trying to find it. You know, Windows wasn't working and you need to find that document. It's an emergency. You can see what the MS-DOS name is. It's kind of cool. The different type of attributes. And under the summary, we can see the title of the document, who the author is, the company, category, it's historical documentation. I've got keywords of history, instruments, clarinet, trombone, but you know, I want to add another one. Maybe I want to add the tuba or a guitar. So these are all keywords that I can use when I want to do file search for a particular file. Now I can also save a preview picture, which will have some of the information, and when you kind of roll over it and when you see it in the Windows Explorer, you can see a preview of what that document is actually going to do. Here's the statistics. We kind of saw that how you can open up the word count toolbar down here, but if you want to look at the statistics, it'll give you a lot of the same information. How many pages, how many paragraphs, how many lines, words, characters, even characters. If you include spaces, you'll have 11,874 characters if you include spaces. When it was created, modified, and accessed, what revision number it is. This is revision 3. I've spent 53 minutes editing time on this. I mean, look at all that really nifty information I've got just by looking at the properties. The contents, you can see the document contents, what the title is. Custom, you can say, look, who is it checked by, department, destination. I mean, there's a whole bunch of custom things that you can include as part of the properties aspect of a document. So let's go ahead and click OK. And let's say I click close. Do you want to save the changes? Yes, let's go ahead and save those changes. And let's say I come up here to File, and I want to do a file search. When I do that, it opens up my task pane, and it says, what are the what's the search text that I'm looking for? And it gives you search tips. Do you want to search in selected locations? My computer, my network places. The results should be the selected file types, any Office files, Word files, Excel files. Well, tell you what, I just want Word files. That's all I want. So that way it'll narrow down my search a little bit better. Okay, so selected file types. Now it says fast searching is currently disabled. Now, fast searching means that it goes through and just kind of, skims through, and you can turn this on. And one thing that you might say is, well, I want to find under my advanced file search. Notice I can, of course, if this scrolls up for me. Oop, I hit the wrong button. Hit stop and modify my search here. I can search for a property, a text or property, revision number, subject, number of quotes, last modified. Keywords, okay, is exactly. And I can say I want to find trombone. I think I spelled it. So add that one. Keyword is exactly trombone. So I click go, and it'll go out and it'll start searching my computer and finding it. Now I can't remember on the history whether I capitalized trombone or not, because it was saying search for it exactly. So let's hit stop here. Let's modify it, and we'll say keywords. Let's take this one and we'll remove it. We'll say keywords includes trombone, because I actually had trombone and a whole bunch of other things. So we'll add that one, includes trombone. And so go ahead and hit go. And now this time it's going to go through and it's going to search, and it's going to go out and try to find any of those files or documents that match that particular search capability. Bada bing, bada boom, it says, hey, I found one on my computer. It's the history of instruments. And look at that. When I roll over it, it says, here's some information about it. It's the history of instruments. Here's the location, when it was modified. And if I go ahead and I can edit new from this file, copy link to the clipboard, I can check the properties of it. We'll go ahead and edit with Microsoft Office Word. It opens it up and it says, here you go. Hey, that looks familiar, doesn't it? It looks like that document that I was looking for. So you can see how keywords and some of this other information can really be helpful for us when we're trying to search for files utilizing file search. So again, managing our documents are important. Now, what about printing? That's probably another thing a lot of people say. Can I do anything special with printing? Absolutely. One of the things about being a word processor is when you go in here to your print, you can use print preview and see what it's going to look like. And so by hitting print preview, I can come in here and zoom in and see it like this. It'll show you how it lays out here on the page. I can also come up here and see one page. If I had multiple pages, which I do, I can say, okay, let's show 2 pages. So here's the first page. Now notice I've got 1 page, 2 page, and if I scroll down, here's page 3 and here's page 4. So I can see the next pages that I want. If I want, I can show all 4 pages. So now here's my entire 4 pages all shown. And it can, again, printing out and using print preview can help you out quite a bit. So let's go ahead and close this. If I want to print, I can come here to print, and it gives me a choice of the different printers that I want to use. I can use my HP PhotoSmart 2570. I had a Quicken printer that'll print out some other stuff, but the PhotoSmart 2570 series, I can print all of my pages, the current page, page ranges. I can do a number of copies. I can collate on my printer. And again, your mileage may vary based upon what type of printer you have. I can also print a file sometimes. People say, well, what does that do? Well, that prints it to a file that's in plain text. I can do manual duplex if I want. I can find a printer if I don't have one here. If I have maybe Active Directory running in a corporate environment, I can go out and find one that's being advertised. And if I want to change the properties of my particular printer, all I do is simply click on the properties and that will open up. So we also have some other options that we can do. We can use draft output, PostScript over text, reverse print order. Do you want to include the document properties, all that information that I had? Sure. Hidden text, I can do that, background colors and images. And for the current document, I can print the data only if I have different types of forms, so you don't see the form boxes. We'll see that later on. Duplex printing if you're able to do it. So these are all options that we can use for our printing, so which is kind of cool and very nice. So let's go ahead and close because I'm not going to print anything. You can't see my printer, mostly because I don't have my camera turned on. I could turn it on, I guess, and show it to you here on the video, but I don't know how much that would accomplish. We will, of course, show you a little bit later on in the video series how to do like a mail merge, or at least where to go to do it. But sometimes maybe you only want to print out one envelope or one for your document. Let's say you got a history of instruments. This is actually a letter, or we could just hit file, close this, and let's say we're opening up our oops, not downloads, that's not what I wanted. I wanted my example files, my Word examples, customer response 4 to Dan. Remember good old Dan who bought that tuba. And I want to be able to print an envelope for Dan. So what can I do? Well, I can go under Tools, under Letters and Mailing, and I can go to Envelopes and Labels. Now, we'll show you a little bit. Now, watch what happens. It automatically, because it's a letter, says, oh, you want the delivery address to be Dan C., 555 Main Street, Hometown, Arizona. Very cool. You can use e-postage properties, which is very nice. You can actually install electronic software that is an actual plugin. I hit it just to show you this. And this plugin allows you to print out the postage. And of course, it charges you every time. So no, I don't want to go to the website. You can add this to the document. You can do envelopes, or you can do labels. You can do a label, and again, you can choose which type of label you want. In this case, it is a Avery Standard 2160 mini address. Do I want to use a return address? I can do that. So if I do envelopes, add electron, I hit the wrong thing, and I want to put the return address. What your return address will be is your information you inputted into Office 2003 when you installed it. So be careful. If you don't want it, let's say you have pre-printed envelopes that already have it there, just click omit, and notice it shows it won't, that shows what it would be. We say omit. We can then go ahead and say some of the other options that we have. We can do the envelope is a size 10, that is the default. We can do a delivery point barcode if it's in the United States, which is very nice, because what that does is it actually helps speed up your delivery. The United States Postal Service will appreciate it because it runs it right through instead of them having to have it print. And you can do the courtesy reply mail, add things, to it, whatever you want, the delivery address, the font, where it is from left, from top, return address. So these are some of the things. Printing options, what kind of feed method. If you're, you literally can put it on a piece of paper, tape it down, and then run it through. Some people, they just say, okay, I already actually have it. Where do you feed it from? Maybe there's a default tray or a main tray automatically. And again, if this method doesn't work for your printer, just find the one that works, face up or face down. So if you do face down, you can see that's exactly how it would go in. So we have all these options with our envelopes and all kinds of different envelope sizes. Size 10 is the standard. So let's say we want to put the delivery point barcode. We click OK, and at this point we just click print, and that would send it through. And remember, it says, hey, make sure you got an envelope loaded before printing. That is what I call the no duh clause that they add to the envelopes and labels. So again, that's just a way for us now, and I just wanted to show you with a letter, it can automatically take this and print. And just yet another way when we're using our print capabilities of documents that we can have some real fun with this. Put some envelopes in, print it out, send the letters one at a time. That's okay. Now later on, as promised, we will show you how to do mail merges where you can add 100, 1,000 envelopes, and you just stack those envelopes in, bring them into Word, and Word will do a merge and then spit them all out. That's very cool. Now, one last thing I want to show you is a way for us to save our files. Because remember, we're talking about managing and printing our documents and files. Sometimes people won't have Microsoft Word. Maybe you're saving it for somebody who has maybe WordPerfect or some other type of word processing application. So we can say save as, and notice it says save as type. When you do this, you can keep the file name the same, but down here I can drop, and all these choices, I can use XML, single file page, web page filter, document template, rich text format, Word 97, Microsoft Works 2000. You got Works 4X, Works 6.0 and 7.0 if you're using the Apple. You can use a rich text format, which if you do that will allow it to be imported by other things like OpenOffice and WordStar and some of the old programs that you could think of. Whatever it is, you can now import it because it's a rich text format. If I say this is now the rich text dash response letter and then click save, watch what happens. It says, okay, you're now a rich text response letter. So now it's saved in that particular format, and people will be able to import this particular letter. So you can save as. Now, another thing that you'll see is you can, when in your save as, you can save it as a web page. Now, of course, you'll need to have a ability to get this web page up onto a web server, but you can still save it, and it will put it in HTML format, which makes it web savvy. And it says, all right, what is the file name? What is the page title? You can change the title from Dan C, which is what shows up in the browser. We'll just say customer response letter. So we say, okay, that's going to be the page title. What is the file name? Well, we can do that, a rich text response letter, or the web address. Save it as a single file web page. You can do it as a full web page, a web page that's filtered, with certain text taken out or certain things done. And you have these options when you're saving it as a web page. So there's the page title. Now on the tools, you can see some of the save options, some of the web options if you want to. For the browsers, people who view this web page will be using Microsoft Internet Explorer 4.0 or later, or Navigator 2. You can include those, which will, of course, if you include the Navigator, some of the code will work fairly well to utilize for, what am I trying to say, Mozilla and some of the other ones that came out of Netscape. So sometimes if you have multiple, you'll want to go with 4.0 or later, so that way you can use backwards compatibility. Do you want to allow PNG as graphics formats? Do you want to rely on the cascading style sheets for font formatting? VML, save new pages. See, these are all options you can use when you're saving it. The files themselves. Do you want to create these with supporting files in a folder? Use the long names. Check if Office is the default editor. All good stuff. What's the screen size for your target monitor? 800 by 600, 96 pixels. Encoding, Western European. Fonts, which character set? English, Western European. Here's your proportional font, fixed width fonts. So these are all options that you can use for saving it for the web. So we'll cancel. We'll go ahead and cancel there. So again, just another few bells and whistles to give to you in this video, so that way you know how to save it as a different file format, you know how to print, maybe print envelopes, print some labels, just do a few different things with your templates and saving your files and organizing your files, all to really make you better at what you do. So what did we accomplish here in this video? Well, actually not too bad. We accomplished quite a bit, including taking a look at how we manage our documents by saving them as different templates, which makes it easier for us to create new things, and especially the new documents. We took a look at how we could use the properties of our documents to help with number one, searching, also a way to track who did what, where, when, and how on our documents, even how much time has been spent on a document in the actual editing process. That was kind of fascinating. Then we saw how we can print our documents, even took a sneak preview of how we can print an envelope or a label, which we'll see a little bit later when we talk about mail merging. Finally, we saw that, sometimes you might need to be able to save it as something different. A Word document might need to be a rich text format. Could be Works 2000 because people haven't upgraded to the Office 2003 products. And even how to save as a web page and some of the options that we have with that. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.